And it wasn't, for me, an accident that Jesus combines the commandment to love with a caution not to fear. Because fear can't ever birth love. It can only birth more fear. I think it was Frederick Buechner who says somewhere that the Last Supper haunts us at many levels. In one way, it's a remembrance of what our Lord and his disciples experienced years and years ago. But Buechner says it's also, at a different level, somewhat haunting because it's a foreshadowing of what you and I will go through someday. A last time when we sit down with our nearest and dearest. And we may not realize it when it happens, but it will be, for us, a last meal with them. Buechner says the real sadness is that we don't see now that every supper with our loved ones, even if it's a bowl of cornflakes in the kitchen some night after the movies, is a preciousness beyond the telling, because the day will come when there will be, for us, no more movies, no more popcorn, no more kitchens. And that's as true of the 18-year-old flipping hamburgers at McDonald's as it is for the doddering dear soul in some retirement home cafeteria. Love one another. I remember visiting B. Burns following Bob's death lots of times. And if she said to me once, she said it a dozen times. She said, "Reverend, I'd give everything I had in the world for 1 hour with Bob." Love one another. Thornton Wilder was on to this big time in a huge way when he wrote Our Town. He said he wrote that play because most folk miss what's in front of their noses, the extraordinariness of any ordinary day. He has the stage manager come out before the play begins and says, "You know, Babylon once had 2 million people in it. And all we know about them now is the names of a few kings and some wheat contracts. And yet every night, all those families sat down to supper, smoke went up the chimney, same as in Rome, Greece, here. But you know how it is," he says. You're 21, you're 22, you make some decisions, and then whoosh, you're 70. You've been a lawyer for 50 years, and that white-haired lady at your side has eaten over 50,000 meals with you. Teach us, O Lord, to number our days, that we may get hearts of wisdom. Well, I'm here to tell you, I'm here to give you a witness this morning that my 28 years here revealed a lot of love. I was on the receiving end of it a lot of times, and I saw it in great evidence. I saw a lot of love in the corral. And I do believe this, that this facility, this place, for many of the singers, is not only the house of the Lord, it's the house of his love. I saw a lot of love in the Sunday school. I saw it pour forth from dear Winifred Pearson, Bob Burns, B. Burns. And actually, when you read Fort Street's history, it's been that way from the very beginning. Have you heard the story of James Joy, an earlier day superintendent here? When he was on business trips, and folks asked him how many children he had, he would say with a twinkle in his eye, 1,200, which is how many they had in the Sunday school back then. I saw in my years here magnificent love poured out in the nursery and kindergarten by dear Marilyn Moore and Karen Wright, and it continues today. And I think what Fort Street has down there is a perpetual fountain of love for little ones. And my, oh my, were there time, what I could say about love in the Open Door program. Some of you will remember Juanita Lead. That dear lady, on rainy days, would stand at the foot of the stairs in the gym with a towel in her hand, and she would wipe the faces of our guests coming in from the rain. She reminded me of the Christ. And a lot of things in that program reminded me of the Christ. Some of you will remember the volunteer we had, Chris Caruso. Chris, his country of origin was Sicily. He worked in the clothing room mostly. But once during a mealtime, I observed an amazing thing. A piece of bread fell accidentally to the floor, and Chris couldn't get there early enough, because as soon as he reached down and picked up that piece of bread, he kissed it. And he said afterwards that his mother made him and his sisters do that in the old country when they were little. Bread is precious, she'd say. It sustains life. You kiss bread when it falls to the floor. I saw a Christ-like kind of love in the program by a fellow by the name of Bob Fear. Although challenged in many ways and almost a street person himself, he managed to be very, very helpful. One day, a podiatrist volunteered to examine the feet of our guests. Someone, of course, had to wash all those feet in preparation for the doctor. And who stepped forward? Bob Fear did. He said, "I'd be glad to do it." And he did. And I liked to think that he was doing a Christ-like thing in a lower room in honor of him who did it as an example so lovingly once upon a time in an upper room. And the beautiful thing, men and women, is that that kind of love at Fort Street never stopped. I get the bulletin, I get the steeple, I see abundant evidences of love in this congregation, and I'm just so very grateful to have been a part of it.